important thing about language is to start speaking, because this is a really huge barrier for many language learners. We most of the times we are scared, but for you to break through in language learning, you need to start speaking. You don't have.
Welcome to the Dalitalks show, Marie. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Dali, thank you for having me, and I would really love to thank you for the work that you do with teaching us about bullying and diversity. Well, I am an English coach, and I help executive directors speak English naturally and confidently to ultimately achieve their career goals. To ultimately achieve their career goals without overwhelm and frustration. So that is pretty much what I do.
I love it. So I've been following you for quite some time now. I think definitely over a year. And one of the things that I love about your style is that you don't just teach people on how to put a sentence together. You teach people about the technical parts of English, and also you teach the cultural references. So that's really important when teaching language, because then people can understand why a word that might mean something basic can also be used for humor or for relating to somebody from a different country or from a certain culture. So that's what attracted me to you. And the other thing too is that you do this with your partner, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that relationship, and like, what does he do that you don't do, or how do you work together?
Well, my partner is pretty much a polyglot, and he speaks 5 languages. So we run a language center. So we don't only teach English; we teach Italian. Okay, so we right now we teach English and Italian. So uh, we are able to teach more languages, and we plan to teach Spanish and Portuguese, because he speaks Portuguese. So we are planning to bring in another partner of ours. She's in Mexico, and she's Cuban, but she's a teacher, a language teacher, and she teaches English, French, and Spanish. So we would really love to spread love through languages. So my partner has been a language teacher for a very long time, and I joined him to help him with the business side of the business. So I am really good with the administration. So we complement each other that way. So I teach English, and I am learning Portuguese, but he speaks English, he speaks French, he speaks um, Portuguese, Italian, and a little bit of Latin.
Wow, Mary, he's amazing, and I have heard him in your videos. Teaching a few phrases here and there, and I love that you're bringing in an additional person. So, Mary, can you give us a little background about yourself? Because one of the things I love to do on this show is to show people where people came from, where my guests came from, and where they are now. Because, of course, Dali Talks focuses a lot on providing awareness and knowledge about the potential and the opportunities that are available to people.
Well, my journey started in Uganda. I am African. And way back in Uganda, I used to be a finance and administrative officer. And I mostly worked with non-government organizations. I worked with a really famous organization. It's known as Sports Outreach. And uh, during my years there, they mostly worked with widows and orphans. So this organization had a famous movie. It's called The Queen of Katwe. I think you know it.
I do.
Yeah, so I worked with them. It's a really, really good organization, and I really love their mission and the work that they do, because they reach out to people through sports and help people with so many things. Because one of the things that they do is to stop early child marriages, and it really spoke to me, because there are many people in different places of Africa that are faced with such problems. So that is how I started out my career, straight from the university, and I worked with them for 5 years before moving to Brazil. And it was really a great experience to work with other people and to help other people. So moving forward, I came to Brazil to help my partner, and it has been really a good transition in my career. Leaving um, my career in finance and administration, and taking on business. It's really a beautiful journey, the learning and the different things. I really, really love challenges, and why I chose to leave my country to come to a country that is predominantly Portuguese, is that I really love challenges, and I have really fallen in love with language. uh, uh, Learning Portuguese, getting to know that, oh my God, there is a different language, and it's really, different. The nuances in these languages are really amazing. When I started learning Portuguese, I really discovered a lot of things, and how English is very different from Portuguese. It really gave me the satisfaction that, getting to understand the language and, achieving different milestones, along the way. This is really something that is great. And it has helped me to understand, my students really better,
Mhm.
So I really love what I am doing, getting to know the people, impacting them, teaching them a language, it's really fulfilling and satisfying, the feeling of teaching someone, and the process of learning, them, getting from zero, to speaking. It's really incredible. I love it.
And I can tell that, Mary, every time I watch your videos, when you post something, you can really tell that you are very dedicated to that language, and that you take it seriously to make sure that you have everything correct, because what you are putting out there is what people are learning. And I love your story about coming from Uganda and you end up in Brazil, and here you are, teaching people, not just like children or anybody, but people who want to elevate their career. That is very significant, and I know that is very important in the workforce. When you speak more than one language, you're more marketable because you can reach different audiences. Therefore, your employer might open up different possibilities or additional possibilities to you just for speaking that language. So Mary, can you tell me a little bit about um so tell me a little bit, how many languages do you speak?
I speak English. Right now, I am speaking basic Portuguese, and I speak a Bantu language called Luganda.
Okay, all right. So you are also going to learn Italian, right? Is that the other one that you're teaching? And
Yeah.
German, I think you mentioned, right?
No, I don't know German, but there is a possibility of me learning German.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking about how many languages you speak is because I want people to see that this is a possibility, and you don't have to speak it perfectly, right? We all have accent. I know I've been speaking English since I learned it starting at the age of 7, but I still have my twangs or my sayings. I still cannot say certain words, so I find myself trying to use another word that means the same thing just because I feel so uncomfortable saying it. And the same thing with Spanish. I do the same thing with Spanish. I'm like, I can't say this word, so I'll just like replace it with this other one. But the key point here is that you're still able to communicate. So if somebody's watching right now and they're feeling intimidated about learning a language, but they know that they should to help them in their career or their business, what tips can you tell us about, like them coming to work with you to learn that language?
Well, the thing is that don't be afraid of making mistakes. This is very, very important. And the most important thing about language is to start speaking, because this is a really huge barrier for many language learners. Most of the times we are scared, but for you to break through in language learning, you need to start speaking. You don't have to be perfect, because we are not looking for perfect. And uh, in our course, when we want to work or when we meet new students, the most important thing is your interest. So, and your motivation, these are the basic, the core of our course. So we make sure that that you know your why. Why are you studying? Why do you want to study? This is really, really important, because when you know your reason why you want something, then this pushes you to know to always show up, because learning a language is about presence. It's about showing up, for the classes, and it's about your goal, because your goal is really, really important. This is what is going to drive you when things are not going well, when you have difficulty, when you have a bad day, you're able to wake up the next day and, you continue on a journey. So this is really, really important, and then as language learners, we really, really encourage, language learners to start from the basic, because Dali, let me tell you, language is really, really interesting, because in English, do you know that if you know about 3,000 words, you can understand 90% of English code, the everyday English conversation.
Oh, I didn't know that. And that's amazing.
Yeah, so the students have to know, the basic words that are used in everyday conversation. If you know over 3,000 words, so this is why it's really not difficult. And English is the easiest language someone can learn.
Oh my gosh. I would like to argue that because I had such a hard time with it. But I mean, I guess to each their own, right? That's incredible. I'm surprised to hear that English is the easiest one. And I don't know if it's because I was a child when I was learning it. Because some things, like for example, breakfast is break fast, and then when they teach it to you, they tell you those are two separate words, and then I had to learn what a compound word was, and then how to, like just some these rules where there are exemptions. And then as a little kid, you're trying to just hold on to that and remember it. And sometimes, you're like, wait, where does this apply? Where does this not apply? But anyway, I'm going back to my childhood struggles now with the language.
Yeah, but it's the easiest. When you look at a language like Portuguese, it's different from English, and it's probably one of the hardest languages.
Really?
When we are teaching English is really, really easy, and it's a language that doesn't change. When you learn the English rules, that is it. That is pretty much it. And the only thing you have to do, like to improve on your English, is to introduce more vocabulary. If you know the basic English tenses, verbal tenses, and how each of the tenses works, it's really easy. It's actually one of the easy languages.
Wow. Well, you're making me feel better because I've been trying to teach myself Portuguese using Duolingo and now Tandem. for 2 years now, and I feel like I've made very little progress. But there's something that you said at the beginning. You said you have to speak it, and I think that
Yeah.
that's what I am lacking, and that is what the majority of us who are trying to learn another language struggle with, because it's embarrassing. And I know that I probably learned English faster because I was also in classrooms with other children who were going through the same journey. So when attempting to speak and say some certain words, I probably felt a little embarrassed, but not as much, because I knew that there were others just like me and they wouldn't be so judgmental. Now, as an adult, you would think I'd be a little more secure, but I um I have a very hard time because, like you said, the well, because the pronunciation or how you make certain sounds for some reason seems harder for me to understand, so that I can repeat them, so that I can, say the words correctly. Like, I think the other one I struggled with was French. The certain way that they roll the R's, or that they say certain letters, is so difficult. So thank you for sharing that, because that kind of gives me a little bit of hope that I will pick it up. I just need to practice some more. So what other tips do you have?
Yeah, it's also very important to create opportunities for you to practice. This is because language learning is about the practice, you know. So for me and for all my students, we work so hard to make sure that they have practice. So we have a practice community for English. So for now, we have an English practice community for our students. This is really, very much the basis, of learning a language. So, and our course is an all-round course. So it is a course that will help you to learn the systems, because language have systems, and then they also have the skills, So in English, we have the grammar and the vocabulary. These are systems. And then we have the skills. We have the listening, the writing, the reading, and the speaking. So this is really very important. And for you to be able to improve as a language learner, you are supposed to improve in every part, of your learning. So for example, do you know that in order for you to speak, you have to have the ability to listen.
Yes, definitely. And that makes sense. And I can see why you're asking, because I've noticed that some people don't think about that.
Yeah, it's really, really very important. So to practice and to make sure that you improve your listening, this is really, really very good for your communication, because you have to be able to listen, then to understand, and then to speak. So it's really, really very interesting. I really find uh, teaching language as my new love, because it's really, really fulfilling, to help other people. During the pandemic, I worked with a group of IT students, and these students, got jobs in international companies, just by working with them over a period of 8 months. And it's really, really very interesting. And they're thriving, they finished their course, and they're really making it, in the world. But just, understanding, the basics, it's all about going back to the basics,
Mhm.
you know.
I agree.
For we have to go back to the basics. And the most important thing, most of the times, you find that students are, not motivated. You find that they have problems with their mindset. So the mindset that you bring, to a language, this is really, really very interesting. Mindset is a very big part of language learning. because most of the students, I have met different kinds of students, but the students who make it really, and the students who excel more than the others, the difference is that they have a positive mindset. Most of the times, we meet people, and then, you meet a person and she's like, oh my God, it's really difficult to study a language.
Mhm.
Uh, when you say these kinds of words, I cannot improve, I am not good enough, I am not as good as Brenda, then you are conditioning your mind to fail. So we always advise our students to have a positive mindset, because when you have a positive mindset, when you believe in yourself, it's all about believing that you can do it. When you believe that you can do something, when you believe that it's easy for you, when you visualize yourself speaking, when you visualize yourself doing something, then it becomes even easier. You find that you are conditioning yourself to success. So these are some of the things that we go through and with our students, and it's really, really interesting.
Mhm. I love that you mentioned that. So some of the things that I'm writing them down. So you said 3,000 words usually, right? If you know 3,000 words, then it makes it a lot easier for you to understand a language.
Especially everyday conversations, just everyday conversations. So and the most important thing for us is to speak. Most of the times we don't create opportunities for us to speak, so it's really important for you to find speaking partners, in a language, for example. So for me, it's really easy for me to learn Portuguese, because I am immersed in the language. So you have to create opportunities for immersing yourself in the language. That opportunity could be, for example, as simple as changing the language on your phone, or changing the language. If you have children, for example, and you're encouraging them to learn English, it would be, for example, to change something that is low key and is not so much of something that pressurizes them to learn the language. Would be, for example, to change the language on if your children play games, you could change the language on the console games, right?
Mhm.
So this would really trigger the child to learn more vocabulary, and to immerse themselves, to surround themselves with language. And for children, it's really, really interesting, because children are very different from adults. It's a little bit harder for adults to learn a language. It's much more complex for them, but the children are really they acquire the language naturally. It's so amazing. So parents actually should teach their children, should encourage their children to learn languages, because this is really, really a very good opportunity for the child. A child can learn more than 4 languages at a go. Can you believe that?
Wow. So is there an age limit? Because I've always heard that by the time a child is 5, if they haven't picked up another language by then, that it's going to be super hard for them to pick it up after that. Is that true?
Yes, and it's so interesting. The parents need to know, because children are natural, learners of languages. They can learn four languages at a go.
Wow.
You don't need to, and sometimes they can even confuse the different, the words in the language, but you don't need to worry about that. You have to encourage them, because this can help them even, with when a child who has learned, or who has learned a language, more than one language, they have better pronunciation,
Mhm. Yeah,
when
I've noticed.
so yes, so parents should use this, as actually as a motivator actually to also, explore other languages. Because if you're encouraging your child to learn, for example, Spanish or French, you can also, explore French, and you do activities, you engage your child in activities, that, you're able, and children learn differently because children learn by, imitation.
They absolutely do. Okay, so you've taught
Yeah.
me so much so far. So you mentioned 3,000 words will definitely help you learn language better. Always practice, which is a challenge for me. Find opportunities to practice. You also said English is the easiest language to learn, and mindset is key. And I love that because I think that that is my main problem, the mindset, the oh my gosh, what are people going to think, or I sound dumb, or all of these things. And I know better, but it's easier said than done. Mary, tell us, if people want to work with you, how do you work with them, especially right now during the pandemic? And I know that you have a brick and mortar right now during the pandemic. Is it only virtual? And who exactly, because you said people who want to improve their careers, but is it only adults, or do you also work with children? I know that that was a lot of questions all in one.
Yes, so I work with pretty much anyone who is interested in learning English or an Italian. So far we are teaching both English and Italian. So we work with children, we teach children, we teach teenagers, we teach young adults, and then we work with adults.
Awesome, wonderful. And are you doing instruction over the internet right now?
Yes, so we have online classes, and then we have face-to-face classes. So our programs are both virtual and physical. So it depends on where you are. So we teach people in Dubai, we teach people in Qatar. We are currently teaching, we have some students in Switzerland
Oh,
too.
wow. That's
Yeah, so yeah, and then we teach students uh, in the different states of Brazil because we are located in Sao Paulo.
okay. Wow. Well, this is amazing. And I love, again, how you present yourself and the methods that you use to teach people. I've been following you for a while. And I definitely, one thing I must ask, because I was just in a room in Clubhouse and the topic of accents came up. So there's this misconception that if you have an accent, you probably are not that good with that language. But I know that that's false. So to the people who might think, well, Mary has an accent, how can she be teaching, English or Italian or whatever other language? What do you say to those people?
Well, the thing is that let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So, if, for example, your Spanish origin, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm from Nicaragua.
Yes. So if you lose your Spanish accent, then how will you speak Spanish? This thing about accent is, I am sorry to say, but you don't have to lose your accent to speak a different language. Yes, so the most important thing for us is to speak, the right way in a language, and then to also master on the pronunciation. This is very, very key, If, for example, you speak well and you pronounce the words correctly, this is pretty much it. We don't have to, I don't have to adapt a different, uh, a different accent. This is I don't really believe in that. But the most important thing is for you to be able to, your ability to pronounce the words accurately. This is, yes, this is it. And most of the times, people really feel bad, but there is, I don't know, I think different, because I don't have to feel bad just because I am not speaking Portuguese very well, because there is always room for improvement, and for everyone who is learning. Learning a language takes time.
It does. It does. Thank you so much for answering that question. I completely agree. And as a matter of fact, I tell people, because now I know better. I used to, maybe it's American life, but it teaches you that if you have an accent, then you're wrong, that you haven't mastered the language. But I know that that's false. And as a matter of fact, the way that I see an accent now, whether it's my accent because you can tell that I speak Spanish and I learned English, or whether it's that I speak, I don't know, Farsi and now I speak English. Um, the accent to me is now is like a badge of honor. It's like that symbolism that I have, taken the language seriously, that I have dedicated myself. I had the motivation to learn it, and that I mastered it. So that's I just want to put that out there, because there's so many people who have this misconception. And that's something that I love about you. You have your accent and you're speaking many, many different languages. And on top of that, you are teaching other people, which is amazing. So Mary, if people want to reach out to you, where can they reach out?
Well, they can find me on Instagram. So at Mary Bukenya, and they can also find me on my official Instagram for work. So our Instagram for work is at MarieVince Language Centre. So this is pretty much, we are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn with the same handle, and yeah, pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love this conversation and I love what you are doing. So I will continue to follow you. And if you have any upcoming events in the near future, just let me know so we can put the word out.
Yes. So we have a free event that is coming up on the 7th of May. So this event is about how to achieve English fluency, and it's going to be in a private group. During this event, it's an event for 1 week. We are going to help students or anyone who is interested in improving their English communication, and we are going to work on the problems that English learners face. The mistakes that they're making. And so you talked about things. Sometimes the students have problems. They don't uh, they uh, they have problems with mindset. They have a lot of problems. So they fear making mistakes. They are afraid of all sorts of things. My accent is not good enough, all these things. So we are going to look at that. Then we are going to look at the most important things, the three most important things that they need to focus on, when they're learning, and to improve, their English communication, to speak confidently and naturally. So this workshop is going to be there for a week, and it's to help people, language learners, improve, go an extra mile. So we are going to be talking about this, and we are going to expand on these issues, and to explore and to help students, and how they can master, because it's really, really important. When we are looking at language learning, we most of the times, students, come and they study. They want to, for example, a student wants to pass a proficiency test, when they study the language, and they pass the proficiency test, this is the end. They're like, oh, now I think I'm an advanced student. But it's not always like that. When you think about language, it's about improvement all the time. Everyone, even native speakers, keep on improving, because every year different words are added to the language. So you are supposed to create an improvement plan. You're supposed to listen to different people speaking. You're supposed to. So these are the kinds of things that we are going to work on. We are going to help and guide them on how they can improve, come up with an improvement plan, and to guide them to set their goals and to see how they can really improve their language learning or their English. So that is what the workshop is about. So it's going to be there on the 7th. Okay, so, and it's going to take over a week from Monday to Friday in a private Facebook group. So if anyone is interested in taking part, they should go to our Instagram and check it out, because next week we are going to be having a challenge, and everyone who participates in the challenge is going to get access to this workshop, and very easily. So we are going to really serve. And then we have a brand new business English course that is coming out later during the year, in the next quarter. So this is what we are actively working upon. But generally, our courses are they are holistic courses, because we have our courses. We have the 9 steps blueprint to help you improve your language learning, your English, your Italian, holistically. And during this time, we work on very many things. We work on goal setting. We work on your mindset. We work on the grammar. So this blueprint has the methods. It has motivation. We have the methods, the motivation, and then we also look at how you can make improvement, on your own, in and out of the class. So it's really a good, um, it's really a good way, for students to be able. We would like to guide the students, because teachers are guides, but then we would really love to set our students up for to improve, even when they reach a certain stage where they don't need the guidance of the teacher. They can do tasks on alone. They can improve alone. They can go out, because the internet is great. We have a vast, a variety of resources available right now. We have news sites. We have we have Instagram. Different people are writing in different languages. Different people are speaking. We have YouTube. So these kinds of resources are available, and students can use them even without, a teacher, to explore. Up to a certain level, you're able, to explore the language. You're able to practice your listening, to understand different kinds of people. So this is what we really would love, after, a student studying or taking a course and, improving, up to intermediate level, then they can improve even further. It's something that is really interesting. So it is what we are really invested, what we have invested, in our course. So for everyone who is really interested in learning, in learning English, in learning Italian, we are here for you, really.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary. I really appreciate you sharing about yourself, about how you help people, and about this amazing course that you'll be having available very, very soon. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Dali, for hosting me. Thank you for having me. It has really been great.
I hope that this conversation with Mary was very informative, and that it shed some light on the possibilities of being able to learn another language. I know that in other parts of the world, having the ability to speak another language is very common. And in the United States, it's not so much. It's something that I frown upon. It kind of bothers me because I see the value in having another language, under your belt. So please challenge yourself, challenge your child, especially if they're very, very young. There's so many studies that show that children who speak multiple languages are very capable, and that there is no hindrance in their ability to learn things at school. So keep that in mind. So if you like this video, click subscribe, tap that little bell so that you're alerted next time I publish a new video. And don't forget to come on to Dalitalks.com, subscribe to my newsletter so that you are in the know about upcoming guests, upcoming events, and so that you can get additional resources. Until next time.